Welcome, everybody, to Interesting Times, episode 13. I mean, episode 12 was a two-parter, so you could call part 2 episode 13, and this is 14.
Wow, I am just upside down now. I don't know how to act anymore.
Oof.
Well, that's what they do in buildings, right? There is no 13.
Note.
There is no.
So maybe we should have skipped 13.
Well, you said it already.
Did they still do that, or is that something they did in the 70s?
I don't know. You're probably in more high-rises than I am here in Los Angeles. We have them all over, of course.
But Brooklyn doesn't have that many. We have that one that looks like a middle finger.
Where's that?
It's like in downtown Brooklyn. It looks like, some evil Lord of the Rings. Who is that with the big eye?
Sauron.
Yeah.
I think.
So it looks like they were going for evil middle finger look, the architect.
What do you think about this thing going on with the congestion pricing?
Oh, congestion pricing.
We haven't talked about
well,
this. I'm curious.
My wife works for the Department of Transportation of the city of New York. And it was going to be run by the state of New York, but her department was very involved. So it's kind of crazy that all of a sudden it got scrapped or at least delayed.
The DOT she works for.
She works for DOT, exactly, D-O-T.
And that is larger than just the MTA then, I guess. That's cars and roads, everything?
The MTA state, that's the New York state. So the subways are run by New York State.
Right. Right. Well, what do you think? Do you have any opinion on it?
I thought it was probably good to have that congestion pricing, knowing very little about it. I just thought that the traffic in this city is crazy. It's just, you can't drive anymore.
It's so insane. I think anybody who rarely drives in the city or never drives in the city, I would think would support it.
Yeah, and then there are all these people from New Jersey or, outside of Manhattan in the outer boroughs who, either work in the city or have to go there for whatever reason, and they were feeling like it was, it wasn't fair.
Yeah, I read, though, it's something like 2% or less of commuters drive in. It's like...
I think it was a smart move to do it. I guess the critics are saying that they're going to fund a lot of stuff for the MTA by incurring this toll on people, but apparently they're not going to do a lot of changes, enough changes to justify this charge.
Yeah.
So, but I still think it was probably a good idea. I was looking forward to driving in and paying it and just being able to drive and not being stuck in, standstill traffic.
Yes.
But some cities have done it, and I think it's gone okay. Anyway.
Has it actually reduced traffic, though? Because a lot of other people might think like you.
Well, some people are saying it'll increase traffic in other places. Like, for example, the toll won't affect people on the FDR and the West Side Highway. So people are like, everybody's gonna try to get around that toll, the congestion pricing toll, by going on those highways, and it's just gonna get crazy there.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, but I don't know about that. I do think a lot of people will choose mass transit.
Yeah, that's what you hope.
You would hope. But then the critics are saying you should make mass transit really great before you charge this toll. You're basically saying, don't drive, take mass transit. But mass transit is not that fantastic right now.
Oh, really? Is it bad?
It's very good. It really is. You can go everywhere, but there's just people have complaints, and there's still there's always going to be issues with a transit system.
Of course, there's a lot of people. It can always be better.
And you can't really control crazy people that go on the subway.
No, I mean,
it's pretty hard.
Well, that's a whole other issue of,
yeah.
Should people be, put in, what do they call them now? I was just reading about old New York, and it was called an asylum, but I'm like, no.
I see. What would put in like shelters, but there has been a lot. They have been trying to help people with mental health problems, but then the mayor wanted to be able to like take people that clearly needed mental health help out of the subway stations, but there are always people that are saying you're defying these people's civil rights by doing that.
That's arguable, but
right.
But and I understand the concerns there, that they're worried that these people are going to be horribly mistreated, which is what happened in the past, but. It's like, well, maybe we have to monitor it and make sure that doesn't happen in the future, because I don't think we're necessarily doing people that are horribly mentally ill and on the streets. Is that doing the best for them? I don't think so.
No, not necessarily. Especially in the middle of winter. Yeah. Well, is it you have? What's the mass transit like in where you are in California?
It's no good.
Yeah.
No,
is that earthquake proof? That's the first thing that always comes to my mind.
I'm sure they
what if you're
built it with that in mind, but I mean, unless there's something insane. But they keep talking about expanding it, so there's a lot of push to do that. But and I think they wanted it to happen before the Olympics, which are coming up in 2028. Maybe they're doing it here, but they haven't done that much. It can work for some people. You just have to live in a very specific spot and be going to a very specific place.
Because I guess to solve the climate change problem, almost every city is going to have to get rid of a lot of cars, I would think. But I don't know how you do that in Los Angeles.
But if cars are electric, right? Wouldn't that make a difference?
Maybe that's true. Maybe.
You know what, though? I don't know how much actual power that is ultimately fossil fuel burned that electric cars use. I assume it must be much less.
I would think much less, but then there's always like how much is expended making the battery to manufacture the car. Oy.
It has to be an overall savings, though, I'm sure. And they can actually be charged by renewables, unlike
true,
the old horse and buggy.
And we were going to talk about a few news stories. There was one that kind of it seems kind of silly on the surface.
Yeah,
but maybe it's more complicated than it sounds. I kind of heard a thing about it on NPR this morning.
Yeah.
It involves the ice cream chain Cold Stone Creamery.
Oh, yeah.
Was that part of your youth? You're a little younger than me. When I was growing up, it was Haagen-Dazs was big.
No, I feel like it that really came out in my late teen years. I think.
Cold Stone Creamery?
Yeah, is when it became a thing. Or maybe even early 20s. But that's when it was exciting. It was like, oh, cool, and it's this experience, and you go in and they like chop it up or something, and they sing your name.
When I was younger, I don't want to completely date myself, but there was a place called Steve's Ice Cream in New York.
Ooh.
They must have had a few shops. Do you remember? You might be too young for that.
I mean,
you remember Steve's?
I don't. I mean, it might not have been in my neighborhood, though, too.
Maybe. Steve's was, the big thing with Steve's was that they put the ice cream on the counter and they chopped it up.
Oh,
they
stole
put toppings in. I mean, I don't know if you can put a patent on that. It's kind of like, remember that place Benihana?
Yeah.
That must have been the pitch for, like, Steve's and Cold Stone Creamery. It's like, it's ice cream meets Benihana.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
but it's like,
that's what it is, yeah.
How do you have, because Benihana was that kind of like Japanese steakhouse where you sat around a grill,
yes,
and there'd be an Asian chef who would like do these amazing like chopping tricks.
Yeah, I went to one
and
once.
Fling.
Yeah.
I think my wife and I went on an early Valentine's Day date there. It was an ironic date. We were like, wouldn't it be funny to go to Benihana?
But you loved it, right?
We did, and the cocktails were like $25 each or something.
Oh my gosh,
like,
really?
Maybe this wasn't the best idea. And the food isn't that good.
Right, anyway. I remember the food being... Well, I was in upstate New York in college, and it was like, terrible.
Yeah,
it's... Sorry, upstate New York, you don't want to help the MTA. All right.
You want to get by what's big in upstate New York? What's that thing on WEC? What's the Buffalo thing?
Buffalo wings?
Well, that's true. There's also a special sandwich that they eat up there.
Oh, is there?
Something on WEC.
Oh.
Now I'm going to have to look it up. But anyway...
Garbage plate. There's that. Garbage plate.
Oh, I don't know that. That sounds disgusting.
I think people love it. I've never had
one. Garbage plate?
Yeah.
Is it real garbage? You're eating garbage?
No. I mean... No. It's food. Right.
I see, but what is it?
I feel like tater tots are involved. That's all I remember.
Right. Anyway, now I'm saying anyway again. That's my go-to.
It's good. You know, the Italians, they always say, like allora.
Is that anyway?
I don't know what it is. It's just like their kind of tick word. It's like, all
That's
right.
Interesting.
I guess maybe it is any. Allora.
Bueno.
Maybe
bueno is kind of like that, too.
What'd you say?
Bueno? It means good, but it's also like, it is like one of those words that gets you to the next subject.
Bueno.
I believe.
Yeah.
So a woman, and it's a New York case, is suing Cold Stone Creamery because she got pistachio ice cream at the store. And then she found out either later or whenever that there's actually no pistachio in their pistachio ice cream, and so there's a class action suit. They were like in response, I guess. Cold Stone Creamery, the parent company, is like, some people are allergic to it, so you can make with chemicals something that tastes vaguely pistachio-ish, if that's the term, or pistachio-esque.
Yeah.
And you can actually put toppings on ice cream there that are nuts, but I don't know if it's ironically or weirdly, pistachios aren't. You can't even put pistachio nuts on top of your pistachio ice cream.
Yeah, I mean, pistachios
it's
ain't
only
cheap.
Almonds.
It's one of the most expensive nuts out there, I think, right?
And it is expensive. Well, also shelling them must cost a lot of money. That must
good deal at Costco. We got a lot of pistachios over here, actually. Kids like them.
I'm a fan of pistachios.
Me too. Big time.
But do you feel guilty buying pistachios without the shells?
Nope, I don't.
Sometimes I'm kind of like, God, I spent so many years taking the shell off it. I almost feel like I'm cheating.
No, you're definitely
that they
allowed.
Sell bags.
You know what's even better? Have you ever had pistachio butter, as in like a nut butter?
Oh my God! Oh, like peanut butter. Oh, yum!
It's good.
I've had cashew butter. I've had almond butter, and of course peanut butter, but never pistachio butter.
Oh, go on Amazon and order yourself some.
God,
it comes in a small jar, but it's a real treat. They also make pistachio cream. Which is an Italian thing, I think, also. But maybe it just has more sugar in it, or I guess it's like what's that? Like marzipan, like a pistachio marzipan style thing, which is basically just almonds mixed with a lot of sugar. God. Yeah.
What do you do with the pistachio butter, other than eat it by the spoonful in front of the sink?
Yeah, well, that's one spoonful, definite. What else did I put it on? Fruit, sandwich.
Oh, nice. A banana, maybe.
Banana. Yeah. Oh, you could put it in a smoothie, which I did, but then I felt like it wasn't enough pound for the scoop. I wasn't getting enough from it, you know?
So back to the case. They actually have the court document. It's pretty funny the way this court document is written.
Yeah.
I guess it's the official complaint. And at the top of it, well, it's Kahala Franchising LLC. That's like the parent company. They're the defendant, and the plaintiff is Jenna Marie Duncan. So she's the plaintiff, and the whole complaint starts with a quote by Van Halen that says, quote, the band Van Halen.
Yeah.
They say all my flavors are guaranteed to satisfied, and that's from a song called The Ice Cream Man by Van Halen. I don't even know that song, but it's pretty funny.
Wow.
And so it starts, it's a little ridiculous, but I guess it's serious. Archaeological evidence suggests that humans have been snacking on pistachios since the Bronze Age. And though viscerally associated with modern refrigeration techniques, ice cream, as we understand it, was likely crafted by Europeans in the 1600s and also has ancient forebears enjoyed by King Solomon, Alexander the Great, and Emperor Nero. This delightful dispute lies at the crossroad between these celebrated treats. It raises a deceptively complex question about the reasonable expectations of plaintiff and like-minded ice cream aficionados. Should consumers ordering pistachio ice cream at one of defendant, that's Cold Stone Creamery's, establishments expect that product will contain actual pistachios? And if the answer is no, should that leave them with a bitter aftertaste? So it's kind of like humorous the way they're writing it, but I guess it is a real thing.
Right.
Like, what would you think? Would you be gravely disappointed if you found that out? Isn't that something we expect now, just going to the supermarket, that, like, things aren't going to really be what the label says?
Yeah, I would definitely expect that there was some kind of pistachio flavoring involved with I guess they could say natural flavors, but I guess they can extract that flavor. I might think that flavor would be extracted from pistachio somehow, but I think they don't always do it that way. Like, one thing I do like adding to a smoothie sometimes is a vanilla extract. It's nice, but almond extract I highly recommend, especially with some apricots. Really excellent. But that, I think, does have a bit of almond in it, almond oil. So
if it's called extract, I would think that means that it is taken from the actual
right. Because
thing
then there's
itself.
artificial extract.
Right. And then the one thing, the defendants, the company, one of the things that said in this article was that they tried to have it thrown out because there were a couple of cases about vanilla flavor things that got thrown out because someone was like, there should be vanilla in it, and there was no vanilla bean in it. But then this judge was kind of like, well, this is a little different because vanilla is just a flavor, but pistachio isn't just a flavor, it's a nut. So when someone's saying that there's a nut ice cream, you kind of expect that there's going to be that nut in the ice cream, not just that flavor.
Yeah, I don't buy that at all. Pistachio is definitely a flavor. If you're going to call vanilla a flavor, then pistachio is a flavor, no question.
Right.
And I think pistachio actually generally tastes a little bit like almond, more so. It's
right.
Like there's a note of almond in there.
There is.
To me, on the best pistachios. You know whose pistachio really sucks is the Haagen-Dazs. Like, they probably have no fake flavor in it. It just tastes like nothing.
That's interesting. That's fighting words. Yeah. And that's just your opinion.
I mean, I haven't had it in years. But yeah, that's my opinion. But it's well-founded.
But you're a fan of pistachio overall.
I am a big pistachio fan, which you didn't know this when you brought the story up. But yeah, I am. And pistachio is my favorite flavor of ice cream.
And my son Milo likes pistachio a lot, too. Now, when you get something pistachio, do you want there to be pieces of pistachio in it, or are you fine with just the flavor?
I'm fine with just the flavor.
And
I like the nut, too, though, of course, but...
Do you find it weird that, like, things that are pistachio are sometimes, like, bright green? I mean, that's slightly odd.
Because the nut isn't green?
The nut is a little... The exterior of the... Is the whole nut green?
Yeah, I would say the nut is green.
Okay. Yeah, maybe so.
But it's not, seafoam green, neon green.
No.
Like the ice cream is.
I kind of like when things are, like, not bright fake fluorescent colors that you're eating.
Maybe that's why I don't like the Haagen-Dazs, though, is because it's just white. So maybe, taste is informed by your other senses. So
your brain is telling you that it's not pistachio enough.
It's not as
but
flavorful.
Have you tried the pistachio at Cold Stone Creamery?
No. I mean, I don't think I've been to a Cold Stone Creamery in 20 years, so...
And I think I've been there a couple of times, years and years ago. And my memory, I think it was too sweet. I think it wasn't that great.
Yes, I remember it being
Is it
too
good
sweet.
ice cream? Do people go there for the ice cream, or just that they sing happy birthday? They force their employees to be polite, happy.
Well, the toppings are the big part of it.
Yeah.
And then the problem is you put a couple toppings in, and then it's a mess.
And ice cream's only as good as the flavor is. I mean, you can't
there's the mouthfeel, there's the creaminess.
Right, true. But if you have a bad scoop of ice cream, you can put all the toppings on it that you want, and it's still not going to be good.
Yeah, that's true. I would agree.
I think.
Well, it depends on how bad it is, but yeah.
Now, is this sort of like the AI of ice cream? I mean, are there implications here where so much of the stuff in our world now is created by computers, created by machines, like fake flavors? Like, there probably do need to be more labels. Like, this photo was created by AI, so you know what the fake stuff is. Maybe this is a good precedent. If the plaintiff wins and they tell the FTC that everything that is called a flavor has to actually have the flavor in it, or put a warning or something that says, look, this has weird chemicals, that's kind of recreating that flavor.
Well,
that's good.
Are the chemicals even that weird, though? Because, see, a lot of these chemicals are just distilled from natural ingredients.
I see.
Which I get, it could. I'm not sure exactly about the health of it, but because they could be obtained by using some sort of chemical solvent or something. But I'm not even sure about that. But ultimately, you're getting what is natural flavor many times, or just some other natural, like the way they preserve
sodium
bread and stuff. They take out. I forget from other. They chemically. Break down a chemical, but it's a naturally occurring chemical that occurs in, I forget, other plants. So then it's the same chemical structure, right? So now I'd be curious what, like, the chemical structure of the molecule, the pistachio flavor molecule is, and does it bear any similarity to what the pistachio. But I guess there's not a flavor molecule per se. So, but in other instances, it makes me think of that, because what brought that to mind is, have you heard this about diamonds? Did we talk about this?
Oh, I did see that documentary. That was amazing. Did you see that?
Oh, I don't know. No, I don't know.
I forget what it's called. It's probably about what you're going to talk about.
Oh, well, it's basically that lab-made diamonds are now exactly the same, indistinguishable from diamonds that are created under the earth over tens of thousands of years. So they don't differentiate between them anymore. They just say they're diamonds.
Right.
Yeah.
And people don't know even what they're getting.
Right. Right,
it's
but does it
like
matter?
A scam.
But is it a scam if it's
it
the
matters
exact same
if you're
thing?
spending, a lot of money. But
well, costs are actually coming down
doesn't.
too, which is
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, there was another story, not exactly diamonds, but I heard that because avocados and guacamole was so expensive that people started making guacamole out of squash. Or some specific type of squash, and apparently it's very good.
Really?
You can't really tell, but it's like people that are purists are like, I don't want to be eating squash guacamole. Squashamole, I guess you could call it.
I guess I'd like to know. I would, just because there are going to be differences. But, we live in a world where output is what counts, right? I mean, that is how we make sense of the world. Like, I mean, it makes me think of AI also, because people are always like, oh, well, the AI doesn't really understand and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, no, how do you know? I mean, it is outputting, what it is outputting it shows understanding. So what are we even debating here? What's your
I guess it's
point
just kind of like a slippery slope. Like, there are so many tricks that these corporations, and I hate to lump them all together, can do to sell products. Like, even like calling like almond milk. Like, right. Is it milk? And I know there have been people that are like, you shouldn't be able to call almond milk, or like oat milk. It's not milk. It's just some kind of like, it's extract. It's kind of like just some liquid that was created. And it's not that it's artificial even, but it's like, isn't it like misleading? I think you do want some guidelines that like, or some regulations that keep, like that whole thing about 100% pure or organic, there are all those claims can be made about products, and then you like look further in and you're like, it's not really pure. Right, that's like a meaningless word.
Yeah, organic is also largely a meaningless word too, because there's no actual legal definition for it, so you don't know what you're getting a lot of the time. Most of the time. Right. I guess if you shop at a very special store, you know what? I wonder. Whole Foods might have like very specific definition of what they describe as organic.
Maybe it's on their website, but it's pretty fascinating. It's one of those stories where like this is like one of those kicker stories, but it's actually pretty fascinating.
Yeah, no, it really is. How we define. People are so concerned about what reality is and how we define reality. People are so upset about AI lately. I feel like I talk to people about it, and you say anything sort of positive about it. I'm someone who thinks it's, there's positives and a lot of negatives, right. But they don't even want to delve into anything that could possibly be positive. And all these people, I think, are just saying like, oh, this is it. It's petered out. It's just a toy. I don't agree, but...
No, I mean, I think you look at NVIDIA, which is apparently the chips that they use in a lot of AI, is like through the roof. So I think it's gonna make a lot of money. All these things like TV could have been used for so much good.
Yeah.
Right. And yes, there were a lot of good shows, but it's like, when there's money to be made, ultimately, like, I think the percentage of these newfangled innovations end up being, like, slightly bad or harmful or just insipid. But there definitely is so much potential for it to be good.
Yes. And you know what, though? I think everybody thinks it's bad because these big companies like OpenAI are going to sort of have a stranglehold on it. But I don't think that's necessarily the case, really, because you can run these models from your home computer. I mean, you have to have... I've done it on mine, and a simpler model, and it'll crash, even a simpler one. But, my computer's a few years old, and it was not made with AI running models in mind, but the new ones are. So you can run stuff locally. So that makes me think that, something like OpenAI is not necessarily going to be the thing that like makes the big money. Like, yeah.
Who knows? Yeah, well, when the tech boom was happening, everybody was like, MySpace was going to be,
right.
a big deal, or some of these other ones, AOL, right? And then it's just like, you just can't predict. But Amazon started pretty early, and that turned out to be a big damn monolith or whatever.
Yeah, I'm curious, what are the things that panned out from the internet to truly be... I mean, search certainly was one of the big... Google, of course, was one of the big ones.
Yeah, and they're big in the AI world, too. I worked there on a few jobs, and I remembered they were, like, developing it. There was some guy in a room trying to figure it out. Yeah.
Well, they were the ones, too, that had that guy who freaked out. It was a few years ago, and came out to the press and said, this is a sentient being.
Dangerous.
Yeah.
And now you can have AI friends. Well, we should have a whole episode about AI. But the ice cream thing does like lend itself metaphorically to AI, so maybe that's our next next
because
episode.
How are we defining pistachio? That's what it ultimately comes down to. And if it is a flavor, then it counts as pistachio. I mean, this woman, she had the pistachio, she ate it, and I assume she was like, okay, that's pistachio ice cream. But she only felt cheated when she looked at the ingredients later on.
Right. I had this chemistry teacher, before we wrap up, in high school. His name was Dr. Hirsch, and he was really good, really smart guy, really great chemistry teacher, but he was super dry and never smiled or laughed. And I think this was at Murrow, actually.
Sure.
You never
sounds
had
familiar.
him.
He was a doctor?
Yeah. I guess he had, some sort of doctorate or PhD in chemistry or science. But anyway, he never laughed or smiled. And then at one point, he was talking about making fake flavors out of chemicals.
Yeah.
And he was like, you can make this flavor, you can make that flavor. And he was like, you could even make a banana flavor. Oh, he was talking about perfumes. And you can make them smell like different things. And he was like, I don't know why you'd want to make a banana-flavored perfume unless you wanted to attract a monkey. And he just lost it. He, was laughing at his own joke after that. And it was such a funny scene. He was completely, lost his
Do you think
shit.
he stumbled into it and was shocked
I think
himself?
he did.
Wow.
He just,
It's
cracked himself up, and he wasn't expecting it.
That's great,
really
man.
funny.
What a good guy.
Totally. All right. Well, this is fascinating. I'm in the mood for ice cream now. So
I am too. We mostly just have non-dairy ice cream around these parts,
boy.
which is
it's getting better.
Yeah.
That Van Leeuwen vegan ice cream is pretty damn good.
Oh, is it? So is the
Have you had that?
Jenny's. Actually, is really good.
Oh, Jenny's, and then there's one out there where you are Salt and Straw. You know about them?
Yeah. We have it. We just went to Salt and Straw the other day.
I follow their Instagram and vicariously drool at the photos.
Oh yeah, I didn't have any, but my son liked it.
It looks really good.
Yeah.
Well, you'll have to try it.
I will. Yeah,
I
it's right
think
over
there might
here.
be a pop-up here or something. Excellent. Well, have a great weekend, Matt. And
you too.
As always, fun chatting, and take care to our listeners. Have a good weekend. Hopefully this will get uploaded before the weekend, so that even makes sense.
Ciao.
Ciao. Ciao, Bella.